Hey folks, Watson here from Watson's Reviews, and today we're checking out a very sleek and modern multifunctional stainless steel sink from LEFTON. It's got a lot of really cool features, including a glass washer, soap dispenser, and LEDs that require no batteries and no wiring. Very cool. So let's go ahead and check it out right about now. I've actually had this sink for a couple months now, and it's really held up nicely. Of course I cleaned it before filming, but it's actually really easy to clean, mostly because of the stainless steel. But it also has this unique and very cool nano coating on it, which I'll show you in a minute. First, I want to show you what's in the box, then give you a little info on the installation. Then I'll take you on a tour of the sink itself, so you can see all the cool features, and then my thoughts on it after having used it for a couple months. So let's dig in. First, you got the sink body itself. It's a 16 gauge 304 stainless steel, which is about the thickest that you're going to see in a household model, and it gives a lot of impact resistance. In fact, let's give it a little knock here. Yeah. And you can see this cool texture down here is a nano coated surface, and it helps repel water and things like oil, stuff like that. And it also enhances the scratch resistance of it. So check this out. Notice that interesting pattern there too. I've been throwing all kinds of things in here and it still looks good. It's also quiet with some sound buffering. It's got the little sound absorbing pads around and underneath. And as I mentioned, it's very easy to clean. For one, you've got these rounded corners on the bottom, so it's easy to get your fingers in there. That helps keep stuff from building up over time. And it might be hard to see, but there's a sloped bottom, and you can see the channel grooves, of course. This helps prevent water from getting pooled up. So even though it's easy to clean, this keeps gunk and scum from building up on the bottom and sides. Now let's take a look at the accessories. Yeah, that's right, it comes with some very cool accessories. There's this nice metal drainable tray right here, which you can do all kinds of stuff with. I like to use it for pre-washing, rinsing, sorting stuff out before it goes in the dishwasher. And then you have this drain basket, which again you can use for a lot of different things, but I mostly just use it for rinsing veggies and fruit, things like that. And then you have this cutting board, which has two different textures, one on each side. I tended to only use the stainless side for staging raw meat and maybe filleting chicken thighs, but most of the time I just use the other side, but take your pick, your preference. And then you've got the cover and drain assembly too, which I'll go over a little bit more in the installation part. Next, you've got the faucet itself, which is pretty much one unit. Again, with all the necessary hoses, gaskets, and nuts. As far as installation goes, installation actually pretty easy. Side note, we were replacing a smaller sink with a bigger sink, but it was very similar from just starting with a fresh countertop. If any of you are DIYers out there, if you can install a sink, this is pretty much the same thing, it just has a few extra pieces. Most of the time and labor involved is just measuring and properly cutting the holes in your countertop, which you'd have to do anyway with a regular sink. Once you get the sink in place, installing the hardware goes fast. It's got a nice online manual if you want. I just printed out a quick black and white copy of it because that was easiest for me. And I read through the individual steps first, but I found it pretty easy to just follow the diagrams because it shows you pretty much everything you need on one page. Instructions say to use the appropriate saw for your countertop because a lot of countertops are different. Mine is laminated MDF, so we just use a circular saw, a little bit of jigsaw. And then for the holes, for this particular model, I used an 1 3/8" hole saw with my power drill. Otherwise, it was just a couple of wrenches, pliers, screwdrivers, the usual stuff. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about the installation, but I will say that once you get the holes cut, put your epoxy down, clamp it down with the brackets, and then you're on easy street from there. Just hook everything up like the instructions say. Everything's in order, and most of the things, there's only one way to plug them in anyways. I suppose you could accidentally reverse the hot and cold hoses, but that's an easy switch. So just double check everything, make sure you test your connections, and see that nothing's leaking, and you should be good to go. So let's take that tour. There's a lot of cool stuff here, so let's start on the left. This is a glass rinser, one of those things you probably didn't realize you would use a lot until you have it. Or if you've ever seen one in a bar or restaurant and wondered, man, what would it be like to have one of those at home? Well, now you can find out. And I drink a lot of milk actually, and this is the easiest way to rinse out a milk glass that I've seen. If you're a milk drinker, you know what I mean. Next over here is the soap dispenser. Just pick whatever kind of soap you like and put it in the bottle. Easy enough to refill, it just screws right in underneath the counter. And you got the little pump action up on top there. Having that dispenser minimizes clutter, and it's nice not having a bottle that can get lost, dropped, or misplaced or whatever. It's all just right out of the sink. Then you've got the main faucet pipe here with the nice pull-out faucet. Note the weighted action. And there's 3 modes. Got stream, spray, and boost. And this of course pivots left and right, very smooth. Then you've got these nice little piano buttons here for various water dispensing modes. You just switch them on at the touch of a button. You've got the two adjustable waterfalls, up and down. There's the curtain waterfall and flying rain. Very satisfying. And of course this pairs nicely with the drain basket and metal tray. As I mentioned, it's a cinch to rinse vegetables. Just put the tray in there, boom. Also acts as a nice staging area for cleaning, as I mentioned. Very nice. Then you've got the temperature control knob. Just dial it in for the perfect temperature, from hot to cold. And over here is the drain knob. It's cool, you can actually have varying degrees of drainage depending on your needs. I thought that was a very interesting and thoughtful feature. And you don't have to stick your hand in the sink to move the drain cover manually either. So I like that. The drain system is just basically plastic pieces in the water supply lines, which are stainless steel braided hoses. These are easy to put on and off if you do have to do some maintenance or move things around, but I didn't. But if you did, it's right there. And finally, you have the optional water purifier outlet here. This is removable, so if you don't have a reverse osmosis system or a purifier, you can just leave it out. And last, and probably my favorite feature, is the digital temperature display and LEDs. The really cool part is that it doesn't take wiring or batteries. It's actually powered by the water pressure itself. How cool is that? And I gotta tell you, the novelty hasn't worn off on this yet, and I don't think it will. I really like how the LEDs look at night when you're getting a glass of water in the middle of the night. And for making baby formula, it's cool to be able to dial in the exact safe temperature you want. Although I have heard with some certain types of plumbing, you may not want to drink hot tap water, but ours is safe. And a little more on my usage, it was nice having these two drainable baskets. I'd go through phases where I'd use them a lot and then not so much, but when I did, it was really useful to have them. And the cutting board too. The fact that they can all just sit in the sink perfectly without having to worry about them tipping over or anything like that. And you can keep messes contained. There's an extra level of straining, so if you're working in this basket, you don't have to worry about getting garbage in the sink. You just end up finding a way to make it work for you and your kitchen flow, as it were. And for me, just having a spot to set things, like on top of a cutting board, for example, was probably the most useful. But that's the whole fun part, is you can customize this to your needs. You've got all these options. So you'll quickly find out how you like to use it and just make it your own. Very cool. Well, there you go. I'm really loving this sink so far. I've always been a fan of stainless steel, but that nano coating makes it even easier to maintain. And that hexagonal texture has really grown on me, so great work by LEFTON. Go ahead and check out their site in the links below. You can get this in different options and sizes. So thanks for watching. Glad you could join us, and we'll see you next time on Watson's Reviews. Watson out.